inviting us to participate in this very important discussion this morning. I've come not only to celebrate your success as companies, but also to learn more about your industry. I serve on the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House of Representatives, and it is my committee that has important jurisdiction over this subject. And so I've come today to listen and to learn. You're to be commended for getting 3 of us here on a Monday morning. That does not happen very often, particularly when we are in session. And we're going to leave here in just a few moments. I joked with Renee just a moment ago, and I told her that when she gets to be governor, she will be able to leave after she speaks. If Bev were here, she would be able to take that in the humor in which it is intended. But we are going to have to leave momentarily to get back to Washington. Your industry contributes billions of dollars annually to our state's economy, and we thank you for that. Those of us who are policymakers all agree that the medical technology industry through AdvaMed and its member companies is a leader in job creation and economic growth. We desperately need to continue economic growth, and you have a role to play, and we as policymakers have a role to play. Private sector job growth is definitely improving, but not enough. Recent advances in healthcare have been driven by you, by each one of you, and by the companies that you support. The work that you do literally saves lives. BD is a great company that manufactures high-use medical supplies and critical care products and systems for cervical cancer tests, just to name a few. And there are 2 jewels that are in my congressional district, Hospira and Abbott Laboratories. And in case you don't know, my district is a very large district in terms of real estate, and so is Larry's. My district extends from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, all the way over to Durham. 24 counties, 700,000 people, 24 cities and towns. But I'm very proud that Hospira, a member company located in my district, has developed a line called IV Solutions. That is an absolute necessity for all aspects of hospital care. We have Abbott Laboratories, a wonderful, wonderful job creator. Another member company that's in my district, they have made great progress in the development of treatments for obesity and hypertension and high cholesterol. And those are very important concerns of mine, because my congressional district is the 4th poorest district in the United States of America. And so the incidence of obesity and hypertension and high cholesterol are very high in my area. Abbott has developed advanced pharmaceutical products to treat people with HIV, a disease that disproportionately impacts the district. Now, no one can dispute the positive effect that your industry is having on the lives of the American people. Your innovations are helping people to live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. Debilitating ailments that made it difficult or impossible to conduct day-to-day tasks are becoming manageable as a result of the breakthroughs engineered by research communities right here at RTP. North Carolina is home to many extraordinary research institutions and teaching hospitals, many of them like Duke and NCCU and NC State and UNC Chapel Hill are literally minutes from this campus. And the relationships that you have with those institutions are stronger, and they can get stronger. The students at these schools are taught the latest in advanced medical technology and healthcare and can quickly transition into well-paid careers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to tell you that the political landscape in Washington is difficult, to say the least. You can feel it in the atmosphere today. And so I don't have to tell you that it's difficult, to say the least. Despite the lack of consensus that we may have on many of the issues, many of us have commonality on the issues that you care deeply about. But let me just put on the table what I think the huge problem is that we have in Washington. You may say it's partisanship and other things, and certainly that is an issue. The problem is that we are trying to operate a $3 trillion government on $2 trillion. And my friends, it's not working. It wouldn't work in your company, it wouldn't work in your household or your church or your synagogue, It just will not work. Anytime you're having to borrow 40 cents on every dollar that you're spending. And so we have enormous issues that we are facing as policymakers. And so we've got to figure out how to solve this problem. And we've got to be able to do it in a bipartisan way. You heard the word sequestration mentioned a few minutes ago, and many of you may not know what that fancy word means. But let me tell you, a year and a half ago, there was a bipartisan agreement in the Congress between Democrats and Republicans to cut $1 trillion out of domestic spending over the next 10 years. That was called the Budget Control Act. It was last summer. The Budget Control Act is now being implemented. It is law. $1 trillion has been cut in a bipartisan way from domestic spending. But phase 2 of the Budget Control Act dealt with another $1.2 trillion that has to be cut. And that $1.2 trillion is now online to be cut on January 3rd, 2013, unless a grand bargain or a bipartisan agreement is reached between now and then. The additional $1.2 trillion scheduled to be cut, $600 billion will be cut from defense. We call it the security line. $600 billion in additional cuts will be cut from domestic spending. And that impacts your industry. Anytime you take money away from your ability to research and develop and to innovate, it affects your energy, your industry, it affects your ability to create jobs. And so I want you to pay attention to this great political debate that's ongoing. The bottom line, which we all agree, we've got to reduce the deficit. We have no choice but to reduce the deficit. But we oppose a part on the manner in which it can be done. There are some of us who will certainly agree to tax reductions, but it has to be done in a comprehensive way. It has to be a balanced approach to deficit reduction. We just cannot go in and cherry pick what we want to cut and what we want to spend and do it in a vacuum. It just cannot work in that way. I'm very proud that the final bill that, let me just skip over that because I went too long on the sequestration business. But let me just end by saying to you that I understand that your businesses do assume great financial risk. And I appreciate the investments that you've made in research and development, having raised more than $500 million in North Carolina alone. State and federal tax dollars have contributed greatly to your industry, and I pledge to you that I will do my part in trying to keep the money flowing into your industry to help you with the important issue of research and development and innovation, because we must innovate if we're going to continue to be strong as a nation. I thank you so much for the opportunity to visit with you today, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.